And Dominic, I think we just go ahead and kick it right into that main event.
We
Your
must.
trilogy bout, the main event of the evening, sees champion Leon Rocky Edwards as a plus 205 underdog look to once again beat the man that he put on a highlight reel forever, the
Hmm.
former champion Kamaru Usman minus 245, the former number one pound for pound great, and honestly, still probably in the conversation as a top 10 UFC fighter of all time. So not only did Leon have to beat him once, he will now have to beat him dose.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
Dominic, my first question for you. Usman was not undefeated in terms of his MMA career before that fight. He did lose like his second fight ever. Really weird. A guy who doesn't even fight anymore, I'm pretty sure, submitted him.
Hmm.
But once he went on that very long undefeated streak in the UFC, tied the record, right? 15 fights,
Yeah, he was one
15
shy
straight
of beating
wins.
Anderson, I think.
Yeah, so I think he was tied with Anderson at the time. Looks like he's on his way to a decision victory. Then, out of nowhere, in round five, when all hope seems lost, Leon Edwards lands the head kick of a lifetime,
Mm.
completely changes his life, completely changes the course of both fighters' lives in a lot of ways. And we know what kind of impact that kind of shot can not just have on your physical capabilities. Once the chin cracks, it's like, is it ever really the same?
Mm.
We also know mentally what
Hmm.
that kind of loss can do. I mean, I can't think of a more, for as great of a fighter as Usman is and all the factors going in, he's winning the fight. He looks damn good doing it. He's a pound for pound great. And yet that loss, I can't think of a like harder loss to have to swallow than that one when you consider everything about it. I mean, obviously the factors I just listed, but then Dominic, the pictures or the videos of him where his eyes are glazed over and he's
Oh,
staring
yeah.
up into the rafters. I mean, they really he really got put, for all the world to see, he got made to look a fool a little
Hmm.
bit. So we know that kind of mental aspect too. The fact that he was winning the fight, he still gets knocked out unconscious for the whole world to see. There could be a little bit of hesitancy to put himself back in the fire, what
I
Leon
see what you
Edwards
did
had to do
there.
to win that fight. So my question for you to kind of start things off, based off what you can see, not necessarily by the words that Kamaru Usman has spoke this week, but even by the actual body language that he has given off, the aura he's kind of given off, maybe even the time between these fights, how little we've seen of him. Do you think that this adds to your opinion or notion that maybe he's coming back here somewhat a more uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a more nervous or a more
Mm.
cautious version of himself, or do you expect him to come back here and be the Kamaru Usman that dominated the welterweight division for so long?
I am not expecting him to necessarily be cautious, and that's only because you really do look at that fight, and he was winning that fight all the way through. I know Leon had one round, at least I scored a round for him. I
Yeah.
don't remember the official scorecards, but Kamaru was dominating that fight 2-3-4, was winning round five, and I just feel like he slipped up. The opening was there, and Leon capitalized on an opening. So with a coach as well minded as Trevor Whitman, especially in the striking department, I feel like they have absolutely hammered those techniques needed to avoid that left high kick. And if you take that away, there was success the entire fight for Kamaru with his game plan. So I don't think he's going to be more reserved or more cautious than what that second fight was. I expect a very similar version of Kamaru Usman. I can't come out and say I expect a better version. It's been 6 months. It's been very quiet from him, as Noah said. He is coming off of a loss at the end of the day. He's not getting younger, he's getting older. So I can't go out that far, but I do think we get a similar version, at least as of now, going into the fight. So I still, I guess, have more questions for Leon because all in all, he still had the bigger gaps to correct in these past 6 months if he really wants to stay the champion, because I don't know if that knockout's going to come as easy this time. He may have to win a decision, and can he do that with the skills that he had in August? Probably not if you just go watch that fight, but can he do it now 6 months later with more preparation? That's what I'm most intrigued about. Give me your thoughts.
I pretty much agree with a lot of what you're saying. For Leon, what I kind of look at here, his life completely changed from that
Mhm.
fight.
Mhm.
I don't know pay wise exactly what he's getting now, but there's a little bit of extra
Mhm.
cash on him for being a champion. But Dominic, you were talking about how you watched the press conference earlier today as we're recording. I mean, Leon Edwards had basically been a face in a crowd, even as one of the top welterweights in the world
Yep.
for the last few years.
Mhm.
And then one win shot him up to where all of a sudden they're chanting Rocky. Usman can't even hear the questions. I mean, he is an absolute megastar over there now.
Yes. Yes.
And all the footage to back it up. You see all these little videos coming out that are just awesome. BT Sport, who has done a good job of being behind Leon even before. They did that really great video that had like the actor playing him as a kid,
Yep.
that they tried to bring out, but then COVID kind of
Yep.
ruined that, and then they brought it out again. A great video. So BT Sport, like some of the media there have tried to be behind him, but I feel like the fans just had this very passive,
Mhm.
just interest in what he was doing. So it feels like that's great because he has a ton of support and probably a ton of confidence because he knocked out such an all-time great in Usman, but also a lot of pressure.
Oh, so much. So
There's a
much.
lot of pressure for him here. I mean, he is the hometown guy, right? I mean,
The card's
I don't
built around him,
his cards built around him. You don't have people like Patty Pimblett, Molly McCann, Tom Aspinall,
Yep.
who are here to send the fans home happy even if Leon loses, as long as these people win. No, no, no. It is him.
Yep.
And then in terms of the local talent, I mean, you got some good fighters on here. You got Jack Shore. You have, a lot of these got Gunnar Nelson, a lot of
Mhm.
people that are very good. But in terms of the star power, he's
He's the
solely
show.
responsible for sending these people home happy.
Yeah.
Now, I know Leon has had frustrations with his lack of exposure to a wider audience. He's felt a bit slept on throughout his career, and I think he has been. I think he has good reason
Yes.
to feel that way. But Dominic, now that he kind of has what he had been looking for, I almost wonder if part of what made him so capable of winning a lot of these fights and doing it his way, even if it wasn't the most exciting fashion of a fight, was that he didn't feel that pressure. He
Yeah.
was sort of, again, kind of this underrated, kind of under the radar guy. And he was kind of just able to go in there, put on his type of performance to win a fight. Even if it didn't necessarily make the fans happy, it would keep him on that winning streak, keep pushing forward. So now that there's potentially all this pressure and all this expectation to replicate or come close to replicating what he did in August,
Yeah.
do you think that could at all be a hindrance to what kind of performance we're going to see from Leon? Or, you know, do you feel otherwise?
No, I think it definitely could. We hear fighters all the time talk about how the mental side of this game is so much more important than the physical side. Kamaru today in the press conference was saying, he's never experienced the noise. That was the word, the quote that they kept passing around. He's never had all of the eyes on him from being a champion, all of the opportunities that come with being the champion, all of the obligations that come with being a champion. And now he's getting to experience all those. And Kamaru was just kind of touching on that. How will he handle it? He obviously doesn't think he will. Leon kind of blocked that narrative out. He said, I'm laser focused. We see it, luckily, Saturday night when they're locked together in the cage. But I think it could definitely be a factor. I'm telling you, man, it's hard to not pick Kamaru again. Like, I know off recording I came on and I said I'm kind of leaning Leon. I am, but it's just so hard to count out an all-time great regardless of coming off of a loss. When you look at how he was performing, when you look at how he's performed even before Leon with 5 title defenses and a 15 fight win streak, this is a big big time fight. And you're right, like all the pressure's on Leon. And it's weird. Kamaru kind of doesn't have much pressure at all. Like his
Dude,
legacy's kind of cemented.
I want to stop you there just
Please
because
do.
I want to build off that.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that, like a lot of people might think just because of the way Usman lost that there's this pressure for him to get his title back and
Mm.
make another run at it. But you listen to some of the quotes, I mean, he doesn't have many fights left. I think we kind
No.
of come to accept that
No.
even before that first Leon or the second Leon fight, technically back in August, he had talked about wanting to spend more time with his kids and
Yep.
family. So you can tell that there's a foot inching out the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
And also you hear all this stuff about his knees. I mean, the man can't walk downstairs unless he's going
Yeah.
backwards. I mean, how the hell is this guy one of the best welterweights in the world? I don't know.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, Dominic Usman has virtually no pressure in this fight.
No. I don't
None. And
think
I
like
like
it's
because
crazy.
like you said, his legacy's pretty much cemented. Like, sure, if
Yeah.
he wins and were to kind of continue on, maybe win a couple more fights, sure. Could he go from being like the 11th or 10th best fighter in UFC history to like the 8th? Sure, but I mean, I don't think he's necessarily gonna be, I don't think
Like, can he
there's that
catch
many.
GSP,
Yeah, I don't think there's that many more legacy making opportunities for
Yeah, I just
him
don't think there's
left.
enough. Yeah. Yeah.
And sure, I understand wanting to get this win back, and um, I bet that's part of the fuel here. Because for all we know, if he would have beat Leon in August, that might have been it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all. He even said it at the press conference. There's not a whole lot left for him to do,
Yeah.
which kind of
Yeah.
makes him dangerous. A man who doesn't feel like
Mhm.
there's really anything to lose here. He doesn't have a title. He already has his legacy pretty much cemented.
Mm.
I mean, Dominic, not only everything I just said about Leon and the pressure he's feeling, let's also look at the fact that if Leon were to lose this fight, how much of that goes away?
Yeah, man.
That support, the people just chanting his name, that feeling like our guy
Yeah.
from our part of the world is a world champion. If he doesn't have that anymore, does it go back to the way it was or close to it?
Yeah.
You add that to the laundry list of factors that could be really just overwhelming to any normal person. And I don't believe Leon's a normal person. I mean, this guy is extraordinary for what he's able to do inside of a cage. But it's definitely worth noting that this is part of the reason I hate immediate rematches, by the
Mm.
way, because I feel like if Leon loses, it somewhat sours that
It does, I
moment.
think. Yeah.
It makes it less memorable. It makes it less impactful. You already saw it. Who else? Who did it? I feel like people have already forgotten Juliana Pena ever beat Amanda Nunes.
Man, great point.
And
Great
that
point.
the same would happen if Alexa Grasso loses a rematch with
Yep.
Valentina. Now
Yep.
I say that, and that's why I hate immediate rematches. I hate, like, I would love if Leon had gone and fought like a Gilbert Burns or a Bilal Muhammad, and if he looked great there, got a win. Kamaru goes and fights. I don't know, you throw in somebody there and he looks
Mm.
good there. Then you do the rematch, and I feel like it's bigger. And also, it legitimizes Leon's title reign, and it shows that Kamaru has not lost a step. He's still that guy that can win a title and be a defending champion. That's not maybe how it would have went. For all we know, Leon goes and loses to the
Right.
title fight.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I just don't love immediate rematches for all those reasons. But despite that, the numbers kind of tell you typically in these situations, the guy who pulled off the upset, the guy who's coming in and is defending in the immediate rematch scenario,
Wins
typically
again.
wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't help but lean Usman in this fight. I didn't lean him enough to where I put any money on
Yeah.
him. It's usually a good gauge for how far I'm leaning. That's not always the case because there's some guys who I feel confident in, but I don't love the line on
Right.
them.
Right.
Minus 245 is a bit steep. And I will admit, if you asked me immediately after UFC 278, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, oh, I think Usman wins that rematch. Just you see how that fight went, you know how the
Yeah.
first fight went. Just
Yeah.
knowing their styles, you felt like Usman just has an edge. I will admit, as it's gotten closer, I'm still decently heavy on Usman, but if anything, I'm less than I was in August. Like,
Mm, mhm.
despite the fact I feel like he's done a lot of the right things, he's sort of taken himself out of the spotlight.
He
And,
has.
not that Leon's like really, I mean, really, Leon's not even been like, despite all the stardom he's built up, it's not like we're seeing him,
Right, right.
kind of a camera every 5 seconds. He's sort of a chill, low key guy, anyways. So it's been kind of a weird few months where we haven't really seen much of these two guys. But yet somehow I do kind of feel myself inching just slightly toward Leon. And I don't know if it's I'm buying into a lot of the support that I'm seeing now that he's back in front of the cameras and stuff, or maybe more to do with Usman potentially being on his way out and that lack of pressure, maybe a lack of motivation
Mm,
at the same time. All this may be for naught. For all we know, none of this could be really factors, and we're going to get basically the same fight we got the last time.
yeah,
But despite my feelings that maybe that is what we're going to get, like if you asked me to predict, I'd say Usman by decision. Dom, I don't think that really speaks to what we've gotten history wise,
yeah,
which
yeah.
makes me think we could be in for something absolutely
Special.
memorable,
Mhm.
special, crazy, unpredictable. Who thought when Usman rematched Jorge Masvidal after that dull first fight that he would knock him out cold?
Yeah, yeah.
After the way DC knocked out Stipe with one punch, that despite winning the first 3 rounds of the fight, Stipe would be able to come back with body work and knock him out. I mean,
Mhm.
these are the kind of moments that are we have such preconceived expectations for, and yet we that's how we end up getting surprised because in this sport, nothing is that consistent.
Yeah. You literally never know. And it's like if obviously I'm expecting Kamaru, as I said, to come in with the polished techniques to not get hit with that same head kick again. But I am expecting Leon to fend off takedowns better. Not that he did awful in the first one, but obviously the more and more Usman came with those, he was able to have more and more
Well,
success.
didn't Leon isn't that how he won the first round in that fight? Didn't he take Usman down or
Yeah, or
somehow?
had some sort of reversal that ended
Yeah, and
up
he
on
was on
top.
top.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's that Leon is definitely a more well-rounded fighter than people think or
Oh
people
yeah.
his takedown defense, yeah, I mean, I Usman definitely got the I don't know what the percentage was, but it
Yeah.
feels like on memory, Usman did a pretty good job of being able to take that fight down when he wanted to. But at the same time, and I did feel like that was wearing on Leon in the later rounds.
Mhm.
He started not being able to fend off the takedowns as well. But yeah, I think with some time, some training that maybe again, this guy's got just so much more support behind him now, and that could stretch out to all avenues. This could be even in his training,
Mm.
more focused training on him, the champion, one-on-one type stuff. You got to think he's going to come in a better version than he did last time. Can we
Yeah.
say the same for Usman? I expect much of what we got from Usman in the first fight, or the second fight, but it wouldn't surprise me either if he's somewhat of a lesser version of himself.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you said the wearing out part for Leon for the second fight. He said today, and I didn't know this until today, he felt that the altitude in Utah got to him as well,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
that drained him
Yeah,
some.
I never think about that either, and I know
Because
that plays
Kamaru
a
trains in
factor.
Colorado at altitude, so we'll see if the gas tank even holds up better for
Yeah,
Leon in this
that's a
one.
good
Because you
point.
saw on the
Yeah.
stool there he was drained. He was mentally, I think, drained too, but physically. So that's a whole other aspect here that I never knew existed in that second fight. Now I know going in here, this could be the most different of all three fights for all we know on Saturday night.
It feels so easy to predict no matter which way you feel, like no matter which side of the coin you're rooting for or bet on or believe is gonna win, which tells me that that's not at all what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.